in this video to show you how to rebuild a damper rod setup. They're pretty much all the exact same way. Straight ones will probably use 10 weight instead of 5 weight, like this little CRF150 is going to use 5 weight. But they're all basically the same. So one damper rod suspension rebuild video will pretty much cover all of them. Won't be doing any tuning on it or anything like that. This is just basic fork seal replacements with inspection and bushings. So already before I took the forks off the machine, before I even took the wheel off the machine, I broke the 6mm Allen at the bottom of this guy. Broke him loose, didn't take him out, just broke him loose. I took the cap off, or broke the cap loose after loosening up the top triple tree. And then after I removed the fork from the machine, to drain the oil from the fork, you do have to remove the cap, remove the spring, and then turn the fork upside down in your drain pan. So now we're at this point where we've got the spring out, cap off, of course, 6mm Allen broken loose at the bottom. So now we're going to remove the dust wiper, and sometimes it might be a bitch, like especially if it's OEM. So I just take a flat blade and kind of wiggle it in between the outer tube and the dust cap, but sometimes they require a little persuasion to get a gap so you can actually start prying it out. And I am like fairly certain these are OEM, and we'll know here in a second when we take it out. And there's a bronze sleeve, yep, bronze sleeve right there. So get that guy out of the way, and now down here on the inside of it, there's a little C-clip that's got some grooves on it. And you just take a small flat blade and get in between the grooves and get that out of the way. And now that you've got those off, you can, in fact, since a damper rod, just take them completely off, get them out of the way. And then this, you want to extend the fork tube all the way and apply pressure with your thumb or whatever to finish getting the 6mm Allen out. If you don't, it's just going to sit there and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. If you're using an impact, you might be able to get it out just running an impact on it. So there you go. We've loosened up the actual damper rod on the inside, and it holds the inner tube to the outer tube. And then you're just going to just Bruce Lee enter the dragon, get them out of there. And you'll have your cap on the end. If it doesn't come off with your rod, you'll have to turn this outer tube upside down to drop it out of there. Now my bushings, and here we're just going to get the damper rod out of there. We're going to have to clean all this up, FYI. Take the fork seal off. I'm going to get this guy off. Our inner bushing, our outer bushing, which did receive some damage, but not too bad from the separation of the fork tubes. Get him off, spacer off. Remember the order that came off on. If yours is in any other order than your outer bushing, inner bushing, spacer, fork seal, circlip, dust seal. That's the order it starts from bottom to top on the fork. If they're in any other order than that, they're installed incorrectly. So just remember that's how it goes. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up real fast. It won't take me very long. I'll be right back. We're back. Everything's pretty much cleaned up. I might have skipped a couple things like the spacer and all that, but we're just going to put this guy on first, which is not what you would normally do. But since it's a damper rod, it's already tapered at the end, and I don't have to use a sleeve or anything like that. So throw the bottom one on, top one on, spacer, and then your new fork seal, which you kind of want to lube this up. This is going to assist in installation, plus during break-in it'll work much gooder. So rock him into place, slide him all the way down, and I already did inspect the fork for any damages. There is some nicks up here in between the triple trees, which is not a big deal. Down here where the tube actually rides would be bad. Now, the fork gaiters were kind of torn on this one. I'm kind of old school, I'll call them gaiters. But at this point, I'm not going to put the circlip on or the new dust seal. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy started and set up to go back together. Got our damper rod back in. He's hanging out here. Put our cone at the end. Make sure he sets in place all the way. And then we're going to go ahead and lightly put him in place until he's at the bottom. And then you're going to want to make sure that it's lined up at the bottom and not off to the side, so we can install our 6mm bolt again. Didn't clean him up. Hang on one second. Got the bolt somewhat cleaned up, sealing surfaces ready and all that. Make sure we're still lined up at the bottom. We're still lined up at the bottom. So we're going to not push him in, but just rest him into place. Maybe walk him around and try and find our threads that we got to get into. There they are. And we're going to lightly get them started. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before. We apply pressure and tighten them up. Just by hand for right now. We'll tighten it up completely when he gets back on the bike, but just by hand for now so it won't leak when we put our fork oil in. And we're going to somewhat get the fork seal started. And if you do not have a fork seal driver, you will damage your seal and it will not seal and you're just going to be leaking all over again. Make sure you have your fork seal driver. This is a 35mm, but I'm using my 37 because it just seems to ride better on it and set it down in place much gooder. Once it gets solid, oh, that was all out of frame. So anyways, fork slider, pound him in to the point where he is set down in there past the circlip groove. And now we can install the circlip. And then we're going to give him a little assistance down in there. Make sure he sets completely all the way around. Make sure he sets completely all the way around. Fuck, this is still out of frame. I got to remember to be in an angle. And now at this point, it's time for the new dust seal. Whenever you replace fork seals, you're going to replace both every time, obviously. And, oops, I put a hair in there. It'd be fun, they said. So, and if you're here for like capacities or whatever, I should have mentioned that at the beginning. It's always in the description with my videos. I'll always give the capacities, and this one just happens to be 9.8 ounces I've actually found an imperial measurement for it. So, dust seal on, and you should be able to just mash them down with your thumbs, unless you're not strong enough or what have you. Now, this is going to be kind of out of frame. But anyways, I don't care if it's out of frame. We're going to add the fork oil just right to the top. Pour it right in. Glug, glug. She's thirsty. You can reinstall your fork spring. And then you're going to extend. That's it. You're going to have to be in frame for this. Alright. Maybe a little higher. There you go. Alright, so extend all the way up. Spring's going to be poking out just a little bit. And you're going to have to force them down enough to get the cap in. Once the cap starts threading, just go all the way on. And like I said, we'll tighten it up when we go back on the bike in reverse order. So tighten up the bottom triple tree, snug the top. Tighten up the top triple tree, put the wheel in, or wheel on. Tighten up the bottom 6mm bolt. You're done. Make sure you put your fork gaiters on. If you don't have them, you will damage your fork. And then it'll be garbage. So, it's that easy. Damper rods are easy. Don't overthink it. It's fucking simple. Simple and easy like the ex-wife. There you guys go. You're all set and ready. Damper rods. Easy. Catch you on the next one.